In my last video, I shared the 3 pricing strategies developers commonly use: floor level loading, view or facing loading, and unit type loading. Today, we will apply the same framework to Pinery Residences to identify potential windows of opportunities or sweet spots. Before we dive in, hello, my name is Belle Tan. I help property owners navigate the market and avoid costly mistakes before they commit. Do like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to get regular updates and strategies to help you make better decisions. Call me or DM me if you'd like to discuss your situation and we can work on it together. So today, this is what we are going to cover. We'll go through the Pinery project overview, then apply the 3 pricing strategies to identify sweet spots. We will look at the different unit layouts, and then I will point out the exit strategy and considerations you need to have for this project. Pinery Residences is located at the intersection of Tampines Avenue 1 and Bedok Reservoir. The project address for residential will be 920 to 932 Bedok Reservoir Road. This is a mixed development with commercial podium. So you can find amenities like supermarket, food court, childcare center, and retail shops at level 1. The commercial space is around 11,300 square meters, of which F&B retail will occupy a big part of the space. Level 2 is the residential drop-off and car park. There are 6 blocks of 14 stories starting from level 3 to 14. 588 units from 2 to 5 bedrooms, developed by Hoi Hub, and the estimated TOP is Q4 2029. Before we apply the 3 pricing strategies, we need to know what is the unique selling point of a project. For example, in the previous video, I used Rivelle Modern as an application of the framework. And in Rivelle Modern, the unique selling point is the river view because 70% of the units will have the river view. So in Pinery, the strong selling point here is that it is a mixed development with direct access to Tampines West MRT station. So when buyers buy a mixed development, they are really looking for convenience, proximity to MRT station for their daily commute, or shopping mall for their daily necessities and lifestyle needs. So in short, everything within reach. If the whole project is convenient, what then is unique block to block? If we can find within the development even more convenient blocks, that will be the sweet spots. For example, the block nearest to the MRT or food court, such that when you take the lift down, you reach the MRT linkway, or can get your food very quickly without having to walk through the whole mall from one end to the other to get what you need. This is what I call the sweeter spots. If we put the side maps of the residential blocks and the commercial floor side by side, we can see which block sits on top of which amenities. So this is the MRT access. So block 930 is the nearest to the MRT linkway, and 932 sits on top of the retail shops. 926 food court, 924 is on top of supermarket. Then 922 and 928 are on top of F&B. So out of all these blocks, which do you think will be the most valued convenience? This can be quite subjective because different people will have different priority for convenience. But let's try to think of resale in future, what most buyers can be attracted to. So for retail shops, you won't be buying something from the shops daily or on a regular basis, right? For food and groceries, I would say yes, frequently, but maybe not daily. MRT, if you don't drive, it is a twice daily commute to and from work. So of all these amenities, I would say number 1 importance is MRT. So that will be block 930 and 932 next to it. Number 2 will be food court, 926. And number 3, supermarket, 924. So if I summarize in sequence of preference, can I say these blocks here are my number 1 preference, this number 2, and this number 3? So from here, let's apply the pricing strategies. So this project is developed by Hoi Hub, who tends to load a premium after certain floors, as in the case of Key Residence and the Continuum. You see that per floor jump is 8 to 9K, but after a certain level, the jump is very high. So for this project, if the loading is on floor, the sweet spot will be units on the low to mid floors, inward facing. Because if per floor jump is high, there's a high chance that the outward facing higher floor will cost more than the inward facing lower floor. Then the sequence will be to go first for these units here, then here, then here. In this way, you get a pool view in the more convenient blocks. And of course, the best if you can would be to get in block 930. If the loading is unfacing, it means all the pool views facing will be more expensive. Then the sweet spot here is to go for HDB outward facing as near to the MRT as possible. So again, it will be these units here. And since HDB facing has no view, all levels are fine. But if certain levels are loaded with a premium like what we just discussed, then go for low to mid floors. If the loading is on unit type for 4 and 5 bedroom, the sweet spot is to go for 3 bedroom in the convenient blocks. Again, if possible, these 2 blocks. Pool view or HDB view doesn't really matter because the loading is on 4 and 5 bedroom. But I would say the sweetest spot here will be 3 bedroom, pool facing, low to mid floor, and near MRT. Now that you know the drill, let's analyze the unit layout. The 2 bedroom without study B1, 2, and 3 are spread throughout the development in all blocks, but 2 bedroom premium with study are only located in these 2 blocks, 930 and 932, the best choice blocks. 3 bedroom are also spread across. 4 bedrooms can be found in the middle cluster and the cluster furthest away from the MRT. 4 bedroom luxury, the biggest 4 bedroom, is only in stack 15 and 5 bedroom in stack 2. So there's no 2 bed 1 bath in this project. So 2 bed 2 bath comes in 3 sizes: B1 624 square feet, B2 635, and B3 667. So B1 624 square feet has the highest proportion at 120 units, 20% of the project across 10 stacks. So we can find them in the 5 blocks except block 924. It's available in both inward and outward facing. Dumbbell layout, which is very popular with investors because the 2 bedrooms are ensuite and bath 2 actually has dual entry. So if the owner decide to partition up the living room to rent out 3 bedrooms, these 2 rooms can actually share this bathroom. B2 635 square feet has 24 units across 2 stacks. Note, the unit in these projects are mainly north-south orientation. However, type B2, the balcony faces this way, west and east. So stack 29, you can expect to have the west sun in the balcony, and stack 20, the east sun. The layout is also different from the usual 2 bedroom, with one of the rooms quite near the entrance. And bath 2 entrance is actually blocked by the main door. So it's a bit troublesome when you have to go to the bathroom. The window in this room is also smaller than the other layouts, so it'll be darker. In this layout, if we place the dining set here, we have very narrow walkway here. And if we place the dining table this way, we actually lose out 2 seats on the longer side. So everything about this layout is just a bit awkward. And with the west sun, I don't think this is my favorite. Type B3 667 square feet is a typical 2 bedroom non-dumbbell layout. 36 units across 3 stacks on the furthest 2 blocks from the MRT. So for 2 bedroom, B2 is out. B1 and B3 are both good layouts. B3 is rare with only 36 units in the development, so there'll be less competition at resale, whereas B1 at 120 units all over the development. When it comes to resale, you'll be competing with many others, and resale buyers will have choices, so you need to time your exit to make sure there aren't many listings of 624 square feet at that time. So if the PSF for B1 and B3 are the same, say 2,000 for easy calculation, B1 624 square feet will cost 1.248 million, whereas B3 will cost 1.334 million. So it's a 86k difference. Would you pay for the difference? Then we need to come back to the pricing strategy we discussed earlier. Remember, we said that this cluster will be our first choice, second choice, and third choice. So B3 667 square feet in block 922 and 924, furthest from MRT, there is a good chance that the B1 in block 930 pool facing can cost more than B3. In this case, if B1 is more expensive, you can go for the bigger and rarer B3. But if you can get B1 around block 930 at a lower price than B3, you can go for B1 because you will get better convenience at lower price. It's a best of both worlds, and time your exit later. Next, 2-bedroom plus study. B4, 700 square feet, 72 units, 12% of the development across 6 stacks in block 930 and 932, the choice blocks, both HDB facing and pool facing. It has an enclosable kitchen, a good size study, and this is very efficient layout that will be highly sought after in resale later. You can go for all units here depending on the pricing strategy. If the developer loads by floor, then you go for the low to mid floor. But if the developer loads by view, then you go for the HDB facing. Next, 3-bedroom and 3-bedroom deluxe. 3-bedroom C1 807 square feet across 4 stacks in the middle blocks. All inward facing, dumbbell design with an enclosed kitchen, a very functional layout. The only thing I don't like about it is that because they are all inter-units, there is no window in the kitchen nor the bathroom. 3-bedroom deluxe C2 861 square feet and C3 872 square feet are very similar except the foyer area. C2 is a straight entrance and looks directly into the living room, whereas C3 has more privacy and a long walkway that actually allow you to build storage along this stretch. So both the enclosed kitchens and bathrooms come with window. So I will prefer these two compared to C1. C2 both stacks are inward pool facing, so if the developer loads on view, likely C2 will be expensive. And C3 has HDB and pool facing and are in the best blocks. If the developer loads by floor, you can go for low to mid floor. If the developer loads by view, you can go for stack 47 HDB facing, which is still close to the MRT linkway. Personally, I like to have privacy and more storage, so I will go for C3. I will come back to 3-bedroom to talk about the exit considerations later. For now, let's finish reviewing the layouts. There are 3 other bigger layouts for 3-bedroom premiums: C4990 square feet, C51012 square feet, and C61023 square feet. All 3 comes with enclosed kitchen, household shelter, and WC in the kitchen. The main difference is in the foyer again. C5, however, has a slight difference in the master room in a different orientation. But other than that, all are good, functional, efficient layouts that can be easily sought after at resale. So if your budget allows you to go for the bigger 3-bedroom, you can go for any of these. C4990 square feet has 2 stacks, HDB facing and inward facing. It's like C3872 square feet we saw earlier. So depending on the pricing strategy, you can choose accordingly. Look by floor, you choose low to mid floors. Look by view, you go for HDB facing. C5 and 6 are only in one stack. The smaller C5 is HDB facing and bigger C6 is pool facing. So likely C6 will have a higher price from C5 for its pool view and bigger unit. So I would say the smaller C5 can be a good catch if you must have over 1000 square feet in size. All things being equal, 990 square feet is actually very efficient without paying for all the extra for your space. Eventually, which 3-bedroom premium to go for really boils down to, again, price and availability. Finally, there is 3-bedroom premium plus study C7 1055 square feet in 5 stacks across all blocks except 922. They are all located at the corner and good selection of HDB facing and pool view. C7 is like a longer version of C4 with a bigger master room cause the study is placed here. So you can either enclose it to make it a proper study or walk-in wardrobe, or you can leave it to have a big master room. You can also shift the door here such that you have a regular room and the study is outside the master room. So there's some flexibility to play with here. And given that there are 5 stacks and C7 is the highest number of units among all the 3-bedroom, you have choice if you need bigger space and can choose unit according to what pricing strategy the developer uses. Next, 4-bedroom. There are 5 types of layout. One without study, D1 1141 square feet, 24 units across 2 stacks. The other 4, D2 to D5, are with study. Let's look at D1 first. This is a compact 4-bedroom, very much similar to 3-bedroom with an extra bedroom. And instead of household shelter, it is a storeroom which can be knocked down for the dining space to be bigger. 2 stacks, HDB facing and pool facing in the 2 blocks furthest away from the MRT. So if the developer loads on unit type, then it's better to go for 3-bedroom in the blocks nearer to the MRT. Now 4-bedroom premium plus study. D2 1195 square feet, D3 1227 square feet, and D4 1238 square feet. Again, the main difference is in the foyer area. And D2 has a removable storeroom instead of a household shelter. All 3 have study corners in their living room, which can be enclosed to create that space or not at all to have a bigger living room. Okay. I like these few layouts better than D1 because the living room is much bigger if I don't need the study. And of the 3, my favorite would be D2 1195 square feet because of the flexible storeroom. And the layout is pretty much similar to the other 2, but quantum for this size versus D3 and D4, like for like, will be more palatable. Again, depending on the pricing strategy, if the developer loads on unit type, then these 4 bedrooms become too expensive. I would rather go for the 3-bedroom premium D2. Finally, D5 1389 square feet, 4-bedroom luxury with study. There's only 1 stack in block 926. This comes with a wet and dry kitchen, a junior master room with an attached bath shared with another bedroom, and there is a 3rd bathroom to be used for bedroom 4, although it's not attached. Master room has a walk-in wardrobe, and the living room has the same flexible study as the rest. All bathrooms have windows. This is really good size for own stay. Those who go for such size are really looking for comfort and for long-term stay. So I won't discuss this from an investment perspective. Finally, 5-bedroom, E1 1475 square feet. Again, a very functional layout for own stay. Okay. This has a junior master room with its own ensuite. It doesn't come with a study, so you will have to use one of the rooms, which make it similar to D5 except that the study in E1 is a proper room. So if you don't need an extra room, I think D5 is sufficient without having to pay extra for the 86 square feet. Now that we have identified the potential sweet spots to buy, we should be conscious of the exit. Very close to Pinery and launching around the same time is Rivelle EC. At resale later, this is likely to be the nearest direct comparison. And not forgetting, not too far away will be Parktown, TOP in mid-2030, Rivelle EC, MOP in 2032, and Tenant EC, MOP in 2031. So, Rivelle is expected to TOP mid-2030, which means its MOP is in mid-2035. Pinery, on the other hand, is expected to TOP around Q4 2029, giving it a few years in the resale market before Rivelle units enter the open market. And because Rivelle buyers enter at a lower price, they may have the flexibility when they exit. They could price competitively and who knows, maybe even the same price as Pinery and make a substantial profit. So, as a Pinery buyer today, you need to select a unit that will remain competitive. Rivelle does not offer 2-bedroom at all. This means, from a direct supply comparison standpoint, Pinery's 2-bedroom segment is relatively protected. There's no immediate like-for-like competition coming from Rivelle. However, if a 2-bedroom in Pinery is priced at a level where a buyer can stretch slightly or not, and purchase a 3-bedroom in Rivelle, then the protection weakens significantly. Earlier I did mention I will come back to Pinery 872 square feet, which is my preferred choice. For most family buyers, the 3-bedroom is often the most popular choice. So I'm going to compare 3-bedroom layouts Pinery 782 square feet with Rivelle 883 square feet. Both are similar in many ways. Pinery has this long walkway at the entrance, whereas Rivelle's is more direct, and Pinery's balcony is longish versus Rivelle's squarish. Bathrooms are similar and both with windows. Kitchen enclosed and enclosable, good for family, but Rivelle managed to fit in a household shelter, yard, and WC. So the kitchen area is much bigger, although it's a compact 3-bedroom. It suits a family with helper. Rivelle is slightly bigger at 883 square feet, but it looks like the extra 11 square feet turns out a lot more space due to its efficiency. And note, bedroom size in Rivelle is 9 square meter compared to Pinery at 8.4 square meter. So assuming Pinery is 2,200 square feet and Rivelle is 1,850 square feet, Pinery will cost 284K more than Rivelle when Rivelle is bigger and more efficient in layout. So exit timing is extremely important. Pinery will TOP end 2029 and Rivelle will MOP in 2035. But don't forget Parktown, TOP mid-2030, Rivelle EC, MOP 2032, and Tenant EC, MOP 2031. If you buy a good layout, you can still exit, but you need to time the exit such that the market isn't flooded with listings at that time. Another 3-bedroom comparison, Pinery 990 square feet compared with Rivelle's 926 square feet. Again, we see similarity in layouts, but what's interesting in Rivelle is within the 926 square feet, which is smaller than Pinery's 990 square feet, it is able to fit in a study that is of a good size. Both have household shelter entered from the kitchen, good for families with helpers. A very neck-to-neck comparison between both layouts. All 3 bathrooms have window for ventilation, and both kitchens have this L-shaped glass window, so the kitchen won't be dark. Then we question where the extra space in Pinery 990 goes to. If we look at the entrance, we get the answer. Pinery has this long walkway that passes the kitchen before it gets to the dining. But Rivelle's entrance is more straightforward and it gives a more spacious feel. Again, to note is that Pinery's common bedrooms are 8.4 square meter and Rivelle is 9 square meter. So Rivelle wins again in this aspect. Assuming 2,200 PSF and 1,850 PSF again, Pinery at 64 square meter more will cost 465k more than Rivelle. When we compare the two 3-bedroom offerings purely from a layout efficiency standpoint, the conclusion is quite clear. Rivelle's 3-bedroom layouts are generally more efficient. So the message here is once again, be aware of your exit timing to avoid a direct clash. This comparison is done purely from a layout perspective. We have not yet factored in stack positioning, facing, site plan dynamics, or floor level premiums. And this is not to say that 3-bedroom in Pinery are inferior. It is to show you that when you buy with the exit in mind, you will be more aware of what layout and timing to choose that will ease your exit. For investor in Pinery, one potential strategic window to consider is before Rivelle reaches its 5-year MOP. However, if that window is missed and Rivelle reaches MOP, your exit strategy becomes even more dependent on timing. If you are unsure or would like to discuss more, feel free to reach out to me for a further discussion. I'm Beltan. See you in the next episode.